Our policy officially in Israel is called hafradah in Hebrew. Hafradah means apartheid or separation. We use that term. And the wall that we're building that goes deep into Palestinian areas and goes around these settlement blocks that we want to keep, the wall is called the separation barrier. It is not called the security barrier. And that's the point I want to finish on. Because Israel frames what it does. And most people, most of the media, politicians pick up on this. It's a simple idea that Israel is this small little Western democracy fighting against Arab, Muslim, fanatical terrorists. It takes about a second, about 5 seconds to say, and it makes sense to people. But it's not true. It's not true. First of all, as I mentioned, the Palestinians and the Arab League have accepted a solution that is really unfair to themselves, the two-state solution. But beyond that as well, there is nothing, and I'll end on this point, there's nothing in the occupation that can be explained by security. In other words, key to the Israeli framing, Israel being persuasive, is the idea that everything it's doing is for defense. We're defending ourselves against terrorism, so everything Israel does, people say, well, okay, they're justified because it's defense. It's terrorism. The Arabs are to blame. What I want to emphasize, and we can talk about it later, is that there's nothing in the occupation that you can explain by security. Not the demolition. I'm the head of the Israeli Committee Against House Demolitions. Israel's demolished 24,000 Palestinian homes in the occupied territory since 1967. Not for security reasons. Either in military operations, where they simply demolished houses arbitrarily. 4,000 homes were demolished in Gaza during the invasion, or because Israel has a policy of not giving building permits to Palestinians. So houses are demolished, not for security. You can't explain the root of the wall by security. The wall doesn't come out to here for security reasons. It's clear that it's grabbing land. You can't explain the building of 200 settlements by security. Israel never claims it. It's a proactive claim to controlling the country. You can't explain the uprooting of 1.5 million olive and fruit trees from the Palestinian territories by security. In other words, security does not explain Israeli policies. And that's why we have to look at the occupation as a proactive policy. We have to see that Israel is headed towards apartheid. And we have to hold Israel accountable, because this is an Israeli policy. Israel is the one that does not want peace with the Palestinians, because if you think you can win, if you think you can beat the Arabs, we don't even use the word Palestinian in Israel. We talk about Arabs. If you think you can beat them, if you can actually get to an apartheid situation like this and keep control of the whole country, so why would you compromise? And that's why, as an Israeli, I say that we have to work to hold Israel accountable. And if Israel, in fact, is a strong country, it can be held accountable. It's not the victim. It's not powerless. It has to be held accountable under international law and human rights. Human rights language, I think, is very important because it avoids the emotionalism. That's really what destroys the ability to solve this conflict, is the emotionalism around this. You're anti-Israel, you're anti-Semitic, all that stuff doesn't help. And human rights language, I think, avoids that emotionalism, and so I think is very useful. So I'll leave that the way it is, and we'll come back and talk about this more during the discussion.